You may have heard people like me say that brand consistency is important, but what does brand consistency actually mean and why does it matter? You might think that there are far more important things that you should be focusing in on your business than trying to be consistent with your brand. Surely trying to make sure that your fonts are always the same and you're always using that exact same hex code and things like that, surely that's not that important. Does it really matter if you're a little bit creative here and there and try out different things? Is it really such an important thing to have brand consistency? It may seem like one of those things that might be a little bit petty and doesn't really matter that much, but brand consistency is actually really important. Have you ever heard the term consistency is key? This is true with every aspect of life and business. When you are consistent, you are going to see momentum, growth, and change. So brand consistency is about maintaining a consistent style, look, feeling, and message. That whatever you put out there, there is a consistency in how you present your brand. So why does this matter? Why is it so important? First of all, it makes your brand memorable and recognizable. When people keep seeing your brand showing up in the same way, they're going to more likely remember it and recognize it. They might see some of your content, one of your graphics, they might not instantly realize it's you, but because you've been consistent in style and look, it will look familiar and they'll recognize it as coming from you. They might not see that little URL or logo down the bottom, but because your branding has been consistent, they recognize it. And this is so important too, because often people need to be exposed to things for up to 7 times before they're actually going to be interested and find out more and for it to really sink in. So it's really important they're constantly being exposed to your brand and that it always looks the same. That way they don't think, oh, that's just another brand, or they don't pass it by and just think it's something completely different. If they keep seeing your brand, it's constantly consistent, and you're going to more quickly get their attention and become familiar to them. And your brand looking familiar and recognizable to them is going to build trust. Trust and loyalty is so important when it comes to your business. When people trust a business, they're more likely going to invest in it. They're going to buy things from you. They're going to keep following you. They're going to be interested in what you're doing and actually spend money with you. If you're constantly all over the place doing different things, that's not going to build up that consistency, memorability, and trust. It's going to also make you look less professional. People are going to think, does this brand even know what they're doing? They're constantly changing things, that they constantly seem to have different messaging and different look and style. And so you're losing that trust and you're looking less professional. You're looking like you're just experimenting and trying all sorts of things out, and you don't really know what you're doing or who you are. And if you don't have clarity in what you're doing, how can somebody else trust you? They need to know that this person knows what they're doing, so I can trust them in terms of spending money for them to help me. If I'm going to spend money with them, I need to know that they know what they're doing. They're not a complete mess that's confused and doesn't know what's going on. It also makes your messaging really clear in who you are and what you do, because visuals and overall feeling and all those things that play a part in your branding sends out a message. It's communicating something about your business, about who you are, what you do, who you're for. And if you're constantly changing things up and being inconsistent, that's mixed messaging. That's going to confuse people. They're not too sure about what this business is, what this business is about. Is this even for me? Because you're always changing your message in a way. Even if it's your visual message, it gets too confusing. And doing things like that is going to lose people because they're going to start to become unsure if you're even for them. So it's so important to have that consistency so people know, yes, I think this brand is for me, and they start to feel familiar with you, they get to know you, and it doesn't feel like things are constantly changing and they're unsure about who you even are or if you're even a brand that's for them. And finally, it's just going to make things easier for you. When you're consistent, when you're really clear about your brand style, your brand voice, the feeling you're going to portray, creating things for your business, creating content, creating graphics, anything that you're putting out there is so much easier because you know exactly what elements you need to use, exactly how it should feel and how it should sound. And so it's so much easier to create content. It doesn't feel like you're starting from scratch all the time or trying to figure things out, like, oh, what font should I be using and what color should I use? And it doesn't have to feel like a huge effort every time you create something because you have real clarity around your brand identity and your brand style and feeling. And so it's going to be so much easier for you to get things out into the world. So if you're struggling with brand consistency, it could be that you actually lack clarity about your brand identity and your brand messaging. You're not really sure about what your brand should be saying and who to and how it should say it. So if that's something you'd like to learn more about, I do have a free class about making design easier where we go over this, and you'll find the link to that down in the description below. And if you'd like to learn more about branding, graphic design, and creativity, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next time.